We're John and Amy, and we're the hosts of the Totally Worth It podcast. We love to share stories that from the outside look like sad stories. But when you really hear the stories about the families and the joy and the purpose and the impact that they have, you learn that they're not sad stories.
They're happy stories. And while we're listening to those stories, we can learn how to better serve and better love those in the special needs
All
community.
the stories are going to bring joy and value to your day.
Hopefully make you laugh a little bit.
And welcome to the Totally Worth It podcast.
Have fun.
Welcome to the Totally Worth It podcast. This is episode number 20. I'm one of your hosts, John Gayhart, and I'm sitting next to my wife, who I am so incredibly proud of, Amy G.
Thank you. Hello.
We are going to learn why I'm so proud of her.
That's every day, right?
Every day. But we're going to talk specifically of why I'm feeling proud today. But that's for later. Right now, Amy G, I want to talk to you about the fact that our son Jack last night had homecoming.
He did.
And it's his first, in middle school there were some dances. He was a freshman last year in high school, so of course they had homecoming, but he didn't go.
Yeah.
Now he's a sophomore, and he pops on us this week that he wants to go to homecoming.
Uh-huh. He sure did. He popped it on a very busy week also.
A very busy week.
Yeah.
And we were really out of it. We were uninvolved and out of touch. And I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
We'll learn why a little bit later. We're going to talk about why this week was so busy. But how does it make you feel that your son went to homecoming last night and spent the night out in a group?
Not with girls.
Not with girls.
I mean, it was boys and girls going, but the spend the night was not boys and girls.
Right.
But I love it. I'm glad that he went. I'm glad that he was able to be with friends like that. I hated that I wasn't there taking pictures. But I mean, when you find out 3 or 4 days before the thing.
On one of our busiest weeks of the year.
Yeah, and he gets it. He's a boy. It's different from boy mom and girl moms. But Jack is into all the pictures and he loves that.
He does.
So he's fine. It's more me that I'm sad that I missed it, but it's totally fine. I mean, he gets it. He knows. And I'll get over it.
I'm so glad that he went. I've been bummed the last couple of years that he didn't go. I was so glad when he wanted to go this year. At the same time, it's such a realization for me because I just remember me going to homecoming dances and what that meant. And I'm not ready for him to be there yet,
And he's growing up.
He's growing up.
And there's such great things about it that he's driving Mabry right now while we're recording. But then again, that this is he only has 2 more homecomings after this,
right.
So thinking about that is hard.
Yeah.
That part's difficult.
He's growing up.
Yeah.
We have such a great show today. We have a conversation with Jamil Owens, who is just an awesome, awesome guy that we've gotten connected with. And so we can't wait to introduce you to him later and for you to hear what he has to share, because he had some great words for us and for all of our listeners. So that's later in the show. Before that, we're going to have our weekly segments. Amy and I will. All right, Amy G, what's our first segment called?
See, what had happened was...
So here's what I want to talk about this week.
Bring it.
I think I found out what one of the worst parts of COVID is.
Okay.
It's people talking about COVID. It's people talking about how much they think they know about COVID and how much other people don't know about COVID, and how it's all lies and it's all a conspiracy and there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
There's a chance that COVID is very similar to the flu.
Sure.
In how it impacts people, in what it's going to do long term. There's a chance, because I don't know.
Right.
But I hear all the time, people say, oh, the same amount of people die from the flu. COVID's not that big of a deal. It only impacts these people. It's all because the campaign is coming up. Come December, it's going to be gone. All these different things. Don't believe what you hear. Don't buy into it. Don't live in fear. I'm hearing this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
the reality is we may find out later that there's some truth to those things that they're saying.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's why it bothers me, is because they also don't know. And so I just have to trust that there's people who are smart and there's people who are trained to give us the best information that's going on, that's out there. And for me to spend any energy on questioning those people, like, I just don't see a great value in it. Like, I think I should be doing other things than trying to question them when I know nothing about it. And I understand why people have this, like, pent up, because we're all frustrated. We all want things to go back to normal. We all want work to return to normal. We want school to return to normal. We want to not wear masks anymore. We want everything to go back to normal. And one of our ways to work through that is to vent about it and to talk about it. But it just doesn't do any good. It doesn't do anybody any good to just hear so often and think about it so often that people are lying to us. The media is lying to us. This is all. And so hearing that conversation, to me, has become the worst part of all of it.
Well, and I don't understand how, you said people say, don't live in fear. I don't see what wearing a mask, like, I'm not fearful.
No.
But it's kind of like John does a thing where if there's like a trend or something, remember when the hologram bracelets?
It's my just in case.
So John gets stuff just in case it works.
Right.
So when holograms used to give you superhuman strength, they'd have them on the bracelets or one of the copper bracelets. Or something like that. John always does it just in case.
I'm the first sucker that's going to come home with something. Because if this thing's supposed to give you better balance, what if it does?
Yeah, just in case.
I don't want all these other people to have good balance and me not.
But you don't want to be all flopping around out there. But I don't understand why wearing a mask is such a big deal.
Right.
I just don't get it. And I mean, come on. If it's going to keep somebody else from getting sick, then just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it and move on with your life. Like, you're saying, oh, it's consuming people. And no, you're the only one talking about, like, quit talking about it. You're the one that it's consuming, not me, And the only part of COVID that I really struggle with is the fact that shutting things down, I get it. Like, it has to happen. What makes me sad is for those in school that they're missing this certain amount of time and these certain amount of activities that they may not get back. So for seniors playing their senior year of football, or band kids, their senior year, it doesn't matter. But missing out on those special times that you just can't get back. That part stinks.
And the small businesses who have gone out of business, people who have lost their jobs.
Yes.
All of that.
But I just don't feel like everything is a conspiracy theory. And we just need to. But
there's a lot of people who do.
I do know this.
And I hear from them all the time.
And I don't.
Here's where.
I think that's more living in fear of believing all of these conspiracy theories. Of just live your life. Like, live your life. Wear a mask when you're out. Wash your hands. And let's be happy.
Here's where my brain goes with it. Is I don't know what's true and what's not. Mm-hmm. So when they say this is all made up for the campaign, okay. Like, I got no information that tells you you're wrong.
Right.
Or this is real. Like, this is going to stick with us forever and nothing's going to get back to normal. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any information to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
Where my brain goes is there have been lives dramatically impacted. And I'm not talking about the people who got sick and have passed away. Of course, those families' life have been dramatically impacted. I'm talking about the businesses that have shut down. I'm talking about the people who have been laid off. And here's what I think about. The Olympics got canceled or postponed. For the Olympics, which is the largest event in the world, It happens every 4 years. This is like billions of dollars that gets impacted in the Olympics getting postponed. The people who are making these decisions are extremely smart. You don't, my brain doesn't allow me to process the fact that the Olympics gets postponed worldwide because of the two politicians who are running for president.
Right.
It doesn't process that way. My
No.
brain doesn't process that way. So I can't tell these people that they're wrong, but I don't see any benefit in us talking about it.
Right.
For me, if there's a sign on the door that says mask is required, I'm going to put the mask on. If all of a sudden masks are no longer required, I'm probably not going to wear a mask unless I'm around people who ask me to wear a mask.
Sure.
If they want me to wear a mask, I will. I don't care. It's a mask. Who cares?
Yep.
That part of all the bad things of COVID, aside from the people who have gotten really, really sick and passed away and lost family members from COVID, this part of it has become what I like the least.
Yeah, and I think I just feel like our country right now just wants to fight.
Yeah.
And any topic is something else to divide our country. And that's what's just so sad about everything is divisive. Should you go to the movies? No, the celebrities are making too much money and da-da-da-da-da. Should we watch football? No, they're kneeling and yes, they need to kneel. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. People want to fight about it right now. And I really feel like social media is spearheading that. Like, I think it has gotten worse because of Facebook. I really, really do. Because these people seem to just get really, really brave behind a keyboard. You know, like they don't care about how what they're saying impacts others.
Yeah.
And I think that that's leading to divisiveness.
Yep.
I hate it.
And part of it is understandable because my typical response to like what you're talking about right now, my typical response, what I want to say right now is, people, just go out and find something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's typical. Now, there's a little bit of caveat with that right now because not everybody can go do what makes them happy right now. There are things and it's slowly like loosening up depending on where you live. And so one of the reasons that it's got to be getting worse is because for so long we've been locked in our house or locked in wherever and playing on our phone, right? And so you find that is something to do. And so there is a little bit of caveat that says it's getting worse and it's gotten worse over the last 6 months because we've all been shut down. But in general, things were getting bad before this.
Yes.
And if people could just figure out what it is that makes them happy and pursue that. Because figuring out these conspiracies, talking about, why people believe this and who's lying about this, there's no way that brings them joy.
Right.
Find that thing that brings joy and go.
Unless what makes people happy is just believing that they're right.
Yeah.
And making sure everybody else knows they're right.
Yeah.
And I just wish I could get off of Facebook altogether. I can't because of my job.
Yeah.
But I just wish people would share stuff that really matters and really changes lives and really, because there's such good about social media. So many stories are shared and so many causes are promoted and so much good. But it's just a whipping to hear all of the negative, all of the complaining, all of the name calling, all of that. It's just exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think if there's people that sit there and read all of that all day, every day, it's stealing your joy for sure.
Yep.
For sure. You can't be happy with reading that stuff all day.
No way.
It's exhausting.
That was wearing on me because this week alone, at least 4 different occasions, including last night when I was with you, have I heard, I hope you're not believing everything you hear in the news. This thing isn't even a big deal. This is all political. Don't worry. It's going to be over soon.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't either. And what I'm afraid of is all of this isn't going to end after the election. It's not going to end when COVID numbers are down. Like, I think we've just gotten so divisive that it's the trend. Like, that it's cool to argue with folks. Well, okay. You do you, boo.
So I know I brought it up, but let's stop talking about COVID.
Good.
No more. I just had to vent. I had to get that off.
Oh, Johnny, do you feel better?
I feel so much better. Until tomorrow when somebody says, I hope you're not believing what I say.
So all you people that talked to John about COVID this week.
No more.
Y'all done pissed him off. I'm just kidding.
No more.
No more.
Amy, what's the next segment?
Well, isn't that special?
What do you want to talk about this week?
You know what? I was thinking this week, and it's just, we are really, Mabry doesn't have, like, she doesn't have friends like Jack has friends or like Slater has friends, right?
Right.
But we are so fortunate that she has in her life her favorite people.
And that's all she needs, her favorite people.
Yeah. Like the friends, like the casual friends, it doesn't matter. So last night we had a big event and I didn't worry one single bit about her. Whereas,
of course not. Because
she was with Monica and that's her favorite person on the planet.
She'd rather be with her than with us.
It's true. It's true. And I just love that. I just love that even like, and it's not just Monica. Maggie is another one of hers. There's people that here's what's great. Sorry, maybe I'm changing subjects too quick. But, with us, what's hard is transition for us to come in the house or come out of the house. If she knows we're going somewhere, it's an issue. Yeah. Like we have to be really covert about getting ready and about what door we go out and about who leaves when and what time.
If she sees me put on my shoes, she starts getting anxious.
Right. And so she knows, and if I'm ever drying my hair, she knows something's going down. So she knows we're going somewhere and she knows there's a chance she's not going with us. Mm-hmm. And so that gets her very nervous and very anxious and very unsure. And that starts behaviors and all of that because she is not feeling easy. Easy? Is that the word?
Yeah, she's tense.
Yeah, she's tense. Totally tense. And so, but last night, like, Monica pulled up and she could care less if we were there, if we
she just started waving at us.
If we actually took off in an airplane in our backyard, she wouldn't care. She wouldn't care. Right. If we got in a hot air balloon in the backyard, she would not care because she was there with Monica, and that just makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, she and we couldn't talk about Monica coming too much in advance, right. But I did start talking about Monica the day before because I needed her to cooperate with me.
Yeah, we were needing some leverage.
And we were needing a little leverage. And so, of course, starting on Friday, all through the night, she's talking about Monica. She wakes up Saturday morning talking about Monica. Monica wasn't coming till mid-afternoon on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even here when Monica came. I had gone to run somewhere, and I came back, and Monica's here. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, Monica, she has been talking about you for 2 days. Monica says, I know. I heard her scream when I pulled into the driveway.
It's true. It's so true. And it just makes me happy. Like, I hope everybody has a person like that just makes you scream when you see them. Do you scream when you see me, Jenny?
I do.
But no, it's just as a special needs parent, like when you worry about your child being with someone else or, with a babysitter or anything like that, it just makes you happy to know that you have people that you can depend on and that they're fine. Like Mabry's totally happy. I think that's the thing. Not that she's safe. Not that she, someone's taken her to the bathroom or any, I know that she's always cared for, but is she happy? Yeah. And I just love that there are people like Monica and like Maggie that Mabry, she's 100% happy with them. She's not mad at us that we left. She's not sad. So that makes me happy.
And any parent has probably experienced the dropping your kid off at the nursery at church and they're kicking and screaming and you have to turn around and walk off.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that feels like. Parents do. And so it's not that we don't have to go through that. There's times that we have to leave and Mabry's mad. That happens. But the difference is when you're living with it for 18 years, or maybe when it's something that you deal with your entire life, like maybe we will with Mabry, the comfort that it is that you can walk away and not have that.
Yeah.
That her friend shows up, and to Mabry, Monica's just her best friend.
Yes.
It's not a babysitter.
No.
Monica's her best friend here. So when Monica shows up, she just starts waving at us. Like, okay, y'all can go. Y'all do your thing.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And so that just hit home with me this week. So.
Yeah. And the reason she came last night is because you had your big fundraiser.
We did. It was
for Blue Sky.
And y'all can see if you're watching on YouTube. What time is it, John?
It is 6:15 on a Sunday evening.
6:15, and I am not already in my pajamas. I'm still in my pajamas.
This is the most dressed up you've been all day.
Whatever. Listen, it's months of work, like work on top of my regular work.
Yeah.
That is just, it boils up to one night. And so it's just kind of a down day it was great last night. It was so good. And it was just, it's over, you know,
It's over.
And that's what I'm just so like, but it was fun, you know, because of, I know, John, you don't want to talk about COVID anymore, but because of COVID, we had to do a virtual gala and it just worked.
Better than normal galas.
We made more money than we usually make. More people heard our story, and it was just fun. And it's always scary doing something different. We had no idea if it was going to work or not. That was scary. That was a lot of pressure on me because I was the one planning it and pulling it off, and it was my idea, and you know, so that was a little scary. But it worked. And people had a blast.
It was so good. And the fact that it went virtual, like you said, more people saw your story, is because it wasn't just 300 people who are in a tent together. That's a beautiful thing. That's living in community that is hard to replicate. And you don't want to take that away. But of the 300 people that are in that tent, we know so many of them. And so many of them at least know the Blue Sky story. And there's always new people every year.
Yeah.
But the way that you did it, where you had host homes and then you broadcast it through Facebook and through YouTube, there were probably 300 people or more that had never heard the Blue Sky story before.
Right.
That heard it last night. In addition to the 300 people that would have been sitting in that tent.
Yeah. So it was really cool. What I loved most about it is that you and I stopped by a couple of host homes after we were done with the live stream. John and, for those that don't know, John and I hosted it live. And we can probably put the link in our show notes just so you can go check it out, because the team that filmed it did such a great job. It was a lot of fun. And we stopped by some homes afterwards, and it was just like, it didn't feel like a fundraiser. It felt like people were genuinely interested in what we do.
Yeah.
It wasn't oh, I need to get all dressed up and make an appearance and bid on this and do that and da. You know, I think it was more about information, giving information. And yeah, we do need money at the same time, but here's why. You know, we were able to do that better. And just good conversations happened.
It was amazing. That stopping afterwards really opened my eyes to we get in such, like, you and I, because these events were part of, I mean, you're doing all the planning, but then I always help you in some form, whether it's speaking or whatever. Sure. We get so wrapped up in the presentation because it's so important. And that's where all the information comes from, and you don't want to mess that up. But we get so wrapped up in the presentation that sometimes we just forget and don't think about and don't put in perspective the impact that it's actually having in people's heart. And what they're actually not only learning, but feelings that they're experiencing that they haven't in a while because of whatever. Yeah. And so when the first host home we went to yesterday, there was a guy there who had never heard of Blue Sky before this event. And he just was so fired up. And he said this is one of the coolest nights I've had in a long time. What I realize is I need to get my kids involved somewhere. I need to show them how to be servants.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is bringing up something that he needs his kids to serve. And then he goes into, I want them to serve at a place like Blue Sky where they can be around this community of people with special needs because they don't know anybody. We don't have anybody in our family. And it got me thinking how big of an impact, and take Blue Sky out of the equation,
Sure.
but because we are a special needs family and we're so close to other families, how big of an impact it has on children that can be around other children with special needs when they're at an early age. And the differences in those children versus ones who aren't exposed to anybody. And not that when they're not exposed to anybody, there's nothing wrong there. That's not their choice. It's probably, I mean, the reality is it's their parents' choice to somehow get them involved or not. But imagine if a kid has been volunteering at a place like Blue Sky since, say, the second grade, and just going out there a couple weekends a month and being around that community. And then there's a kid who doesn't ever meet a kid with special needs until they get to middle school. And now they're in middle school. You've got someone who is going to be very comfortable and probably helping out that special needs kid. And the other kid is probably going to be a little bit scared. Like, I don't know what to do. I've seen this on TV, but I don't really know what to do. And so it started just really stirring up some thoughts that I didn't have before about, man, the impact that parents of typical children can have on their children for their children's good, to just get them out into the special needs community somehow, some way.
Right.
Because I always think, oh, everybody knows somebody with special needs. You got a cousin, you got an uncle, you know somebody. That's not true. That not everybody has that close relationship.
If parents of typical kids can start phrasing it in a way of, oh, these special kids need you so much, instead of, hey, he's just a kid, he's just a kid. And not that it's like that we need to take pity on them, or that you know what I'm saying? In that if we can just start saying it's just the right thing to do, you know, and you don't need a pat on the back for it. You don't need it to be a Facebook story if someone asks a high school kid with Down syndrome to prom. Just do it. Like, just do it because you want to do it, not because you need to show people, hey, this is what I did. So I really hope that parents can just start encouraging their kids to not, quote unquote, volunteer, but rather truly build relationships with special needs, or people with special needs. Does that make sense?
Totally.
In that, because here's the truth, in that when volunteer groups and stuff like that come out, of course I'm talking about Blue Sky because it's what I know, but anywhere, they always think they're coming out to serve, and that they're coming out to help us so much because these kids need them so much. In reality, they end up more blessed.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? In that we end up serving them.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's fine. But that's opening the world up, opening our story up, is allowing people to see. One of my favorite things is when you're talking to someone about, whether it's Mabry, whether it's Blue Sky, whether it's Able Movement, whatever it is we do, what is one of the coolest things for me is when, like, it's almost like you can physically see the light bulb go on when they realize these kids grow up.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing for us, is that it doesn't stop at 18.
Yep.
That it's like almost like, holy cow, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
And so many people haven't. When your mom was on 2 weeks ago, Aunt Nancy is 75 years old, and to think people don't think about special needs kids growing up. And I just think it's such an important story. I think we were able to show that in our fundraiser. I think the way that we were able to have it just sparked a lot of conversations. And I hope that those spark others.
Yeah. And when we see, when we see kids who aren't comfortable around kids with special needs, it's usually a sign that they haven't been around them before. It's not because they've been around them and they just don't like them. It's because they haven't been around them, and that's what we need the parents for. We need the parents. And that's what I was so struck with last night. And when you say, like, people don't realize that when they go serve, they're the ones who are going to be blessed. It's not the other way around. Just think about it. When we'll link the video that you did for Blue Sky into this. Go watch this video because it shows stories of Blue Sky riders and things that they've done to progress. It's beautiful stories. But if somebody walks into Blue Sky to say, I am going to go work in the purpose room today, I've never been there before, I have no idea what I'm walking into. When you walk in, if you link up with one of the clients, that client is probably going to latch on to you and just be your friend instantly, okay? What it's going to do to you is it's going to move you to tears. It's not going to move them to tears.
No.
It's going to move you to tears.
Yeah.
You're emotionally impacted. They just made a new friend. That tells you right there who's getting blessed. One of you's in tears.
Yeah.
and it's not the person that you think you're serving.
That's right. That's right. And this is so cliche also, but we talk about inclusion, and about special needs getting to fit into the typical world. That's kind of what I love about us opening the silo at Blue Sky, which is going to be our purpose store, in that we're bringing the typical community into Blue Sky. Like, you guys come and include with us for a little bit, know? And so they're including us. Yeah. We're going to include them. Come on in. We'll include you for a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And so that's what I'm really excited about, in that people aren't doing us a favor by including us. It's the right thing to do, and everybody deserves it. So I'm excited to kind of hopefully begin to mesh those communities together to where there's not such a difference. There's not the stereotypical differences between the two. Hopefully they start looking a little bit more alike than different. And you know what? That may be the change we see in the country. If we can start meshing those two communities, why can't we mesh all the other communities that are at odds with each other,
That's the kind of stuff we needed to be talking about. Right?
Yes!
Not the conspiracy theories.
Amy Gayhart for 2020. I'm running for president, folks. Who wants to be my running mate?
So I introduced you at the beginning of this podcast as the wife who I'm so incredibly proud of.
Yes.
And last night is the reason why I said that. And I think I said this last year, is I hate that I talk about how proud I am of you always at Horses and Hope. Because as if I'm not proud of you all the other times. That's just the night in which you shine every year. Because not only are you great in the presentation, I get to see everything that happens behind the scenes. And there's a team of people. It's not like Amy's a one-man show. There's a ton of people.
Yep.
I just happen to be sitting on the couch next to a person who works tirelessly for 3 months leading up to it and doesn't sleep a lot and is all about how to make this thing succeed for Blue Sky and how to share our story. And so that's something that I'm so proud of you for every year. And then when you really think about what we just talked about, you introduced this story to so many new people. So many people got emotions stirred up about how they can be a better parent, a better brother, a better person in their community, how they can be more involved, how they can serve. All of these things that are impacting other people, because that has to do with an event that you put on, and it runs so incredible.
Well, thank you. But, I mean, truly, a team of people making this thing happen, a team of community partners making this thing happen. So it was a lot of fun. And for you, my gosh, We looked pretty good up there, didn't we?
We did good.
We did pretty good.
We did. I felt like I needed makeup. You had so much makeup on.
I walked. So
Can you get me a makeup person next year?
I will, because I don't ever get. I think I've gotten my makeup and hair done like twice in my life.
One of them was our wedding.
I didn't even have my makeup done then.
Oh, really?
No. But one of them was Horses and Hope like 3 years ago.
Okay.
But so I don't do that. I get dressed up, but I don't, usually do the big updo and all that kind of stuff. And I walked out and Slater goes, "Ooh." And I was like, "Whoa, that's not good." And he said, "Well, you just don't look like yourself." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give you that. You're right. I don't." But you did look a little washed out next to me.
You need to give me a spray tan next year or something.
So funny.
And when we talked about earlier in the episode about not being around for Jack's homecoming, that's why. Is because his homecoming was on the same night as Horses and Hope, and
which was planned well in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Even before the homecoming date was planned.
Right.
So don't be like, "Oh, well, why did you plan it on the same night?" Oh, don't even.
Yeah, and like he was not going to go anyway.
No.
As far as we were concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy, what you digging this week?
So I've talked before about my friend Sarah Beth Baca, who's an artist, and she's just done a series of, she's been working on it for a while.
Is this the one who did the Women of the Bible?
Yes, she does Women of the Bible. I'm so excited because she has put all of her Women of the Bible prints and pieces of artwork in a coffee table book that has the stories along with them. And so you can pre-order this book right now and it can be to you in time for Christmas. I think this would be an amazing gift for any of your people. Just really cool.
While you've got it on your phone, right this second, will you send it to me?
Yes.
To make sure it'll be in our show notes.
Yes, I will.
Because that looks cool. That's a coffee table book I would actually read.
I mean, so cool. And I love artwork, right? Love, love, love. And these, I've just latched onto them. She's so talented, and it's just fun that it's an old friend of mine. And so I'm proud of you, Sarah Beth Baca, because it's really cool.
I don't like artwork at all.
Okay.
But I love what she does because I can see this. That's some artwork that I can start to understand.
Yeah.
and get the story behind it and all of that.
It's really cool. So go get you a coffee table book from Sarah Beth Baca. It would be amazing.
Yes.
What you digging?
So you were actually just talking a lot about inclusion, which is where our overarching message is as what we do on a daily basis and really with this podcast too. And so we are announcing, we being the Abled movement, along with your help, we're announcing a challenge coming up for the end of November that is called the We Belong 100
This
challenge.
Is really cool. You came up with this idea. And you come to me with some stuff and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, you love this one from the get-go.
Yeah.
All of my ideas need to be tweaked by you. And so there's a lot of tweaking. The end result is a lot of tweaking. And we have a board of directors and, we talk and how to make this thing. But what this is it's a challenge that spans 11 days. And it goes from Thanksgiving Day, which is November 26th, to 2 Sundays later, which is like December 5th or 6th or something like that. And the challenge is to move, this is an exercise challenge, to move 100 miles in 11 days. Now you're moving that in something that's not motorized. So you can be walking, you can be running, riding a bike, rollerblading, elliptical machine, whatever it is that you want to do.
Riding a horse?
No, that's not going to count. Because...
Oh, all right.
And so now that sounds like a lot. It's like 9 miles a day around. And that's a lot. Now, I hear of people like tracking on their steps on their Fitbit, and the goal is to get to 10,000 steps. So 10,000 steps is about 5 miles.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so doubling that, of course, it's a big deal. Now, there's a way to participate without having to do the challenge. For anybody who's...
Tell me more! I'm in now. I didn't know this.
Who doesn't like to do the move.
Okay, I'm in. What do I need to do?
I need to go back. I need to backtrack for a minute because we are raising money.
Yes.
This is obviously a fundraiser run by the Abled movement. And we are going to, all the profits that we make during this fundraiser, we are going to give out through a grant application process to nonprofits who offer inclusion opportunities.
Perfect.
Okay? Blue Sky would want to be one of those nonprofits.
Sure.
The Abled Movement, we don't offer that kind of thing. So it's going to go through a grant application process. So whatever we raise during this, 100% of that, of the profits, are going to go out through the grant applications after the fact.
I love it.
And so anybody that wants to support is doing a registration for $50. When they do the registration for $50, they get a t-shirt. That's a totally cool t-shirt that says something about We Belong 100. I don't even know.
You do know, because I
do know,
designed
but
it.
it's like 100. Anyway,
It's a cool design.
It's a cool design. And people are going to want this t-shirt just for the $50 and support.
Yes, yeah.
And so then anybody who wants to complete the challenge then gets a finisher hoodie. Now this thing is awesome.
It is pretty cool.
It says something to the effect of, I completed the We Belong 100 because inclusion is dope.
It is dope.
It's a really cool hoodie.
It's cute.
And so there's two ways that you can get that hoodie. One is you complete the challenge. You move 100 miles and you screenshot your mile tracker at the end of the 11 days. You post it on social media. You email us and we send you a hoodie.
Okay, so what if that doesn't work for you, John? What's next?
If that doesn't work, then you still register for $50.
Okay.
You still get the We Belong 100 t-shirt. And then you can do a separate fundraiser on your Facebook page.
Okay.
And all you have to raise is $100.
Done.
So you raise an additional $100 over the $50 that you already paid for registration.
That's awesome.
And with that, you get a finisher hoodie.
I love it.
And so then all that money is going to go.
But you can, if you're doing the challenge, can't you get people to sponsor you and raise money in that way?
Absolutely.
So that's the idea.
That's the idea.
Don't lose part of that. I'm joking about the fact that I don't want to do the 100 miles, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, but the idea is to get sponsors, kind of like a jump-a-thon or a turkey trot or something like that. So that's cool.
What would be even better is to just share it and have them go register as a participant, because all somebody has to do is they're given $50 and they're getting a t-shirt.
That's awesome.
So whether they sponsor you or not doesn't even matter. Just get them to give the $50.
Let's see how many states we can get participating.
That's what I want to do.
That's cool.
That's what I'm talking about. And so the reason for the dates is because, first off, you feel so much better about the damage you do on Thanksgiving Day through the gluttony by if you get any kind of walking in. So we always run on Thanksgiving Day before Mabry and I do before we eat.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can go to town now. Well, then these 11 days, that's really, you just finished Thanksgiving. You're leading up to the holidays, to all the parties. It's just a good way to be healthy. And you're setting yourself up to, okay, I know I want to enjoy the holidays. I want to enjoy the parties and the pie and the banana pudding and whatever else. But hey, I'm also getting all these steps in while I'm doing it. And so the timing was intentional. The 11 days starts on Thanksgiving because a lot of places have a turkey trot. So I want that to count. And then I wanted 2 weekends to count and that whole week after. So that's the reason for the 11 days.
I love it.
And so, you can learn more by going to the Abled Movement website. It's weareabled.org. You'll find everything there. All you got to do is pay your $50. You get a t-shirt. You can decide later if you actually want to go for that finisher hoodie. There's a lot of time.
You're going to want to go for the finisher hoodie.
Once you see that hoodie, you're going to want it.
Pretty
and
cool.
I'm going to get all sorts of emails about, how do I get this hoodie? I don't want to do the challenge. Well,
who sent that email? That's weird. Huh. It wasn't Amy at, if you see an email come in from the
anonymous wife at an old Hotmail.
Not amy.com. Just wondering, just curious.
All right, so you're about to hear the conversation that we have with Jamel Owens. He has a show called The Awesome Show. He's also on a podcast called The Ben and Jay Show. His story, you're going to hear his story, but just a brief summary is Jamel has a medical condition that he grew up with his entire life, and you're going to hear about a little bit of the struggles that came along with that. And then when he became a dad, his son was diagnosed with autism. And so we really hear his story of grieving as a father of special needs, talking to other fathers of special needs, great advice for fathers with special needs, and then also how it relates to the condition in which he grew up with. And so just a dynamic speaker, a wonderful story, a great encourager. And I know that we had so much fun during our conversation, and I know our listeners are going to learn a lot from him and really be encouraged and get some good advice as well. So we hope you enjoy this conversation with Jamel Owens.
Wasn't I amazing? I think that was my best one yet.
Whatever is the easiest way for you to find us, podcast or YouTube, just subscribe.
Just come knock on the door. You can do that too.
Have dinner with us. You can take Mabry with you.
If you're nice. Go ahead and leave us a review also.
Leave us a review. You never know. You might just get it in front of somebody that really needed to hear the message.
But if you're going to be mean, just private message us.
Actually, don't message us at all.
Go on. Go on. Get out of here. We don't need you.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Totally Worth It podcast. We appreciate you.